Hello, and welcome to the WWIA Podcast. We're honored to have you join us in our mission to bring honor, connection, and healing to America's combat wounded Purple Heart heroes. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, we welcome you. If you're a returning listener, thanks for coming back. Please be sure to tell others about our podcast and leave us a review if you're enjoying what you're hearing. On today's episode, we're honored to introduce you to one of our phenomenal event hosts, Mr. Scott Samuels. Scott has been proudly serving and honoring our Purple Heart heroes for almost a decade at his stellar event, the Eagle River Muskie Chal-Lunge. Scott, along with his tremendous and generous community of friends, businesses, and supporters in Eagle River, Wisconsin, have rallied around our heroes year after year, showing them an exceptional time while they experience world-class fishing in pursuit of the elusive muskie, share food, fun, laughs, and stories with fellow heroes and newfound friends in the beautiful Northwoods of Wisconsin. It's a great conversation that we're excited to share with you today. Let's join the conversation with John and Scott right now.
Hi, I'm John McDaniel, the founder and CEO of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation. We're a national 501c3 helping our combat wounded. And this is our podcast, Honor, Connect, and Heal. And I'm super excited today because I have with us one of the greatest Americans I know. His name is Scott Samuels. He hails from Eagle River, Wisconsin, which is way, way up north. And he's been energizing his community for coming up on 10 years in support of the foundation and our work. And they have a mission that's called Eagle River Muskie Chal-Lunge. And without further ado, welcome to the program. Scott, how are you?
I'm good, John. Thanks for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. And we both got smiles on our face because, we're looking at each other on the video and just recording it. So it's really good to see you. I understand you are currently in Miami. Is that correct?
I am, yes. Mm-hmm.
Excellent. For the listeners out there, let me tee this up, and you feel free to chime in at any point here, Scott. But you do a muskie fishing event up there in Eagle River, Wisconsin. And for folks that don't know, I mean, Eagle River, Wisconsin is way, way, way up there. I mean, aren't you like one county away, or doesn't that county that you're in touch the UP?
It does, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're north. We're further north than 60% of the population of Canada, actually. So we're up there.
That's a great statistic. I think I'll footnote that. Excellent. And so this Muskie Challenge event, okay, so I've been on it. I went on it one year and I was super impressed. You have some of the best muskie fishermen on the planet supporting your mission. The heroes link up with their guides. They go out in the water. They fish for the elusive muskie. And then, every night you come back to a beautiful lodge and guys break bread and talk about what happened on the water. And then you get up and you do it all over again. So tell us about your event, Scott.
Well, it's been going on. This will be the 9th year. It's every September. And like you mentioned, we bring in wounded warriors from around the country. We match them up with the best fishing guides in the Northwoods, maybe some of the best guides in the country, actually. And we put them out on the Eagle River chain of lakes for 2 full days of muskie fishing excitement. And so they've got the fishing, and then there's a lot of great camaraderie and socializing between the guides and the warriors, between the warriors themselves, because they all have something in common, and they socialize with each other quite a bit. And then, of course, networking with our sponsors that come in, that pay for everything, and they come in and spend time with everybody. So each night we have dinners, and we've got lunches provided for the warriors and breakfasts, and we just try to have a good time, just a few days of a really good time without any real hard agenda or anything like that. And it's worked out great so far. We love it.
Yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I mean, I think that's the recipe, right? I mean, right there is you don't want to put any pressure on these guys. They're coming to a place they've never been. I mean, can you imagine, living in Tupelo, Mississippi, and then coming up to Eagle River, Wisconsin in the fall, which, is gorgeous. Not, 9 times out of 10. Sometimes you get some snotty weather up there that time of year, but it's just a beautiful part of the country, and to experience that up there on the chain of lakes, and to pursue, the muskie. Now let's talk about the muskie for a second, right? I'm an old Wisconsin guy. I grew up in Wisconsin and have fished all over the state for muskie and other freshwater species. But the muskie was the one fish that kind of keeps fishermen up at night. And for those that don't know, it's true. I mean, literally and figuratively. But the muskie, there are fishermen, and I'm sure that those that that are part of your organization of support in that great community up there. What a great community it is that you have, and you've done an amazing job. You really have, of knitting it together and getting people to pour out to support what you're doing, and it's just nothing but phenomenal. But these muskie fishermen, as you mentioned in the opening, are probably some of the best muskie fishermen on the planet. They really are. They're in the sweet spot of where the big muskie or muskellunge live. And it used to be, when I was growing up, chucking big plugs at these dudes. It used to be that the muskie was referred to as the fish of 10,000 casts, which meant that you had to throw something at it 10,000 times before maybe you got a bite. And now that's changed considerably because our methods, what we're fishing with, how we're fishing them, and of course the resource itself has been, I think, heavily protected, guarded, and great conservation effort. Not everybody, most people today are returning these fish to the water, not killing them and eating them. I've never seen a muskie killed. I've been fishing for a muskie my whole life. I've never killed one. I've never seen anybody kill one to eat it. Now, there's nothing wrong if you do. I don't have anything against that, but I think most fishermen are returning them to the water. So, talk about a little bit about this muskellunge. And for those that don't know, his eyes are set forward in its head, okay, and it's green and it's slimy and it's camouflaged, and they get up to about in excess of 50 inches. Okay, so that's a monster fish, right? And they're big, thick-bellied, and they got a mouthful of teeth, and they're predatory in nature. And boy, when you hook one of those dudes, you know it. So, tell us about, why, your little bit of experience about what's happening on the water, with these guys that are pursuing, these fish, and why are you motivated by the muskie?
Well, they're as you mentioned, they're the top predator out there. And they're the great equalizer. It's, I've run muskie tournaments in northern Wisconsin for years, and you see the top pros out there fishing, and then they might not catch anything. The ones who know everything might not catch anything. Exactly. And then some father-daughter team that might fish a few weekends a year will come out and will win the tournament. You never know what's going to happen, which is one of the attractions of that fish. You never know what's going to happen. It could be really hot one day, and now I found the bait that really works on this lake. So this is it. Yeah, then you won't catch a fish for 10 years on that bait on that lake. Following that, you never know what's going to happen. Which makes it so exciting just to see what. And they tend to follow the baits in a lot, John. So even if you don't catch anything, to have a big fish just follow, especially like a topwater bait, to have that fish. Yeah. Their fins are out of the water. They're slowly coming in. There's nothing like it in the world. And it's love. And you should hear our warrior. Well, you've heard our warriors describe their day on the water. Even the ones that haven't caught anything, just to see a fin or to see their head. They'll remember that for the rest of their lives. And that's our job, is to provide those kinds of memories for them. And if they catch one, it's a plus. As you know, you did pretty well when you were here, which was good. But just to pursue them and to see them, and we get a lot of warriors that don't really know what it's like, but they leave here. Really, just energized about it. It's pretty exciting to see.
You know, what comes to mind when I muskie fish is combat. And the only reason I mention that is because, you know, I used to describe, you know, when people would ask me, or, you know, I had the occasion to talk about, you know, experience in combat, and I didn't make this up. So, you know, I'm not saying I came up with this. I just repeat it because it made a lot of sense to me. And that is that, you know, combat is like 99 minutes of sheer boredom interrupted by 1 minute of, you know, of sheer panic, you know, exactly and that's kind of, that's muskie fishing.
It is.
You know, you might be out there for 4 or 5 hours, mm-hmm. you know, until your arm wants to fall off. And then, you know, all of a sudden, there he is, you know, and you've got him. So to shape this for the audience that's out there that doesn't know, you know, you might spend all day out there, you know, chucking chicken feathers or plugs or whatever you got at this thing, or soaking, you know, chubs down below the surface and not have a bite. But, you know, so, you know, if you catch one muskie in a day, you know, I think you just raise the flag and declare victory, regardless of how big it is, right?
And you know how you can tell when if you go on the social networks, there's a lot of these muskie fishing discussion groups. They'll talk about mm-hmm. their day. They won't say that. They'll never say they didn't catch anything. They'll say, well, we saw 14 and we had up to the boat.
I had 4 follows.
We couldn't get them to hit. They kind of talk like it's the fish's fault for not cooperating. They won't say they didn't catch anything. You know, because that's how hard it is. Just
I know.
is everything. So it's funny.
I love it. Those. I'll tell you. You know, my first experience with a muskie was up in your neck of the woods, up near Eagle River. 2 of my good high school buddies. We weren't actually in high school. I think it was the summer before high school. You know, Stu Strunzi, Grady Kuhn, and Johnny Mack heading up to the Northwoods of Wisconsin. We stop off at a bait stop, you know, and we're going to pitch tents and sleep up there, you know, out in the, you know, campgrounds or wherever, and fish for muskie. And Stewie was trailering his boat, and so we stop in this sporting goods store. And, you know, back in the day, I mean, I might have had on me, you know, as a, you know, a young boy between the, you know, about ready to enter high school, you know, I mean, if I had $20 on me in cash, that's a lot of money, you know, I mean, and that meant I'd mowed a lot of lawns. I'd saved my allowance. You know, $20 was, you know, hey, I'm going for 3 days. I got $20 in my wallet. I didn't have a credit card. You know, so we stop in this bait store, and I'm looking at all these musky lures, you know, on the wall, and I made the mistake of going, you know, what are they biting on? And the dude's like points to the biggest, you know, MEPS, you know, spinner that is on the wall. And of course, it's like, you know, $12, you know, and I'm like, I'll take it, you know. So I take the only $20 I got, and I buy a $12, you know, MEPS, you know, musky lure that, you know, it's got a treble hook on it, you know, about the size of my palm, you know, this monster thing with a big spinner on it and this bucktail looking deal. And both my buddies are like, dude, I can't believe you just paid $12 for that thing. You're not going to catch anything. Mm-hmm. And so we're out there fishing, and for like 2 or 3 days. And at one point, you know, I'm like, you know, throwing this thing at kapooch, and I'm just cranking it in, and I get it close to the boat, and the whole water column moves, like the water column, you know, and he comes up and he grabs this thing. And then he takes it under the boat, and, you know, because he hit it so short, like, you know, they'll follow right up to the boat. And you're supposed to figure eight. I didn't know anything about figure eighting at the time. I was just cranking it in. And he grabs this thing, and he starts to pull the whole rod and under the boat, right? And so now he's under the boat, and I don't know if my drag wasn't quite right or whatever, but ping, and there goes the rod. And I just remember laying down in the boat, you know, which had been leaking, so there's water and, you know, and whatnot in the bottom of this, you know, aluminum boat, and I'm just laying down there in the fetal position, just thinking, oh my God, I had one, and I lost it, you know. But everybody who muskie fishes has got a story similar to that, and it's why you go back. Yeah, you never. It's like playing golf, kind of. You never really
get it. We all make mistakes too. Sometimes we do everything wrong, and we'll end up netting the fish. And then sometimes you do everything right, and you lose them.
Yeah.
It's you never know what's going to happen, which is
Well, it's like life, That's well put, So let me ask you, okay? You've been really super successful, okay, at doing this. I put you in the top tier, the top 10% of our missions out there without question. And I can say that confidently because you've managed to energize a community. You've got an amazing event that's producing amazing results. The testimonials are just from the heroes are off the charts. The experience meets the world-class standard. I just got to ask you, a couple questions about that. First off, how'd you do it?
You mentioned that I energized the community. I really don't think that's the case. I think the community was energized when they heard that wounded vets were coming to their town. So I look back and I'm looking at our sponsors and the people. We have individuals, businesses, civic organizations that have come forward to support us. I can't think of anyone I really had to give a sales pitch to, John. Seriously. All we had to do was let them know, look, we've got 8, 10 Purple Heart combat wounded vets are coming in. We have to cover their expenses. We're going to just show them a good time because they deserve it. I mean, they deserve the best. The resort, the best food, the best company. They don't deserve anything less. Can you help us out?
Yeah.
And they just started stepping forward. So we didn't really have to energize anybody. And that's just the kind of people that live in the area, the businesses, the associations, individuals. They just came forward. In fact, I remember 10 years ago, and I'll mention one. I don't like to mention one sponsor because they're all equally important to us. I remember 10 years ago when we first announced this on social media, in 15 minutes after I announced it, we got a call from, it was Sweetwater's, a restaurant and bar in Eagle River, a call from the owner saying, what can I do? I just saw this. What can I do? Immediately. She wanted to help.
Yeah.
And then they just came in after that.
Yeah.
We had a church in a part right over the border in the UP. Not a lot of money, not a wealthy community at all. That just took up a collection, and they're the ones that cover those nice, those beautiful fishing reels that we give each warrior.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on and on, but nobody was really we didn't really have to sell anybody on coming, which is, it's just wonderful to see.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, and I can actually say the same thing, about the other, 49 or whatever the other number of missions are out there. It varies every year, but, typically it's right around 50 events that we're doing in something like 35 different states. But, I've never asked anybody for help.
I think our business model is to put it out there and educate people, let the community know, just in an honest, forthright way, what we do and what we need. And we just show this to them, and this is what we need. Can you help us? And that's just how we do it. And it works well.
I hope by the time this airs that there's plenty of people up there in the Eagle River, greater Eagle River community, because I know it bleeds beyond Eagle River up there. There's other smaller supporting entities in and around the area.
That's in general. Point. Yeah, we have support from companies in Madison, Oshkosh. Yeah. Individuals.
That's right.
All over
C.R. Meyer.
The Upper Peninsula, as I mentioned, water.
Yeah, that's right.
And then just all over the Northwoods, they've come in to help us. It's really been incredible.
Yeah, It is. It's humbling. But I hope that there are some people that are up there that hear this that I genuinely, I'm speaking to you. I want to just say, thank you. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. Thank you for helping our combat wounded. And it's super, super important work. Now, the war, Afghanistan, Iraq, the latest, conflicts are behind us. But not really. And I'm going to just touch on that for a second because, we still to this day are losing, around 20 veterans a day to suicide. And that's just, it blows me away to when I think about that, like 20 veterans a day. Statistically, by the time we finish this podcast, a veteran will have taken his life.
Right.
And that's just wrong. There's something wrong about that. And so, what can we do? What can we do? Well, what we can do is things like what you're doing. We can create opportunities for them to connect, honor, connect, and heal. Honor what they did, connect them with each other, connect them with great people in a community, connect them with the outdoors, and all of that, when you start layering it together, has, a healing effect. In other words, what I did for this country is the sacrifices I made are valued. I didn't just go do this in some country whose name I could had a hard time pronouncing. I did this thing because I was wearing a uniform and it was my duty. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I came back to this country, and people like you, Scott, and you, and a community in the great community in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, is opening up their hearts, their homes, their checkbooks, etc., to say thank you for what you did, recognizing what they did for this country, in the way of defending freedom someplace. And to me, considering what happened to the Vietnam, veterans when they came back, and you fast forward the tape, 30 years to today, and you go, wow, things are different. And it's people like you and your community that are making a difference. And, I just want to, thank you publicly and acknowledge all your hard work and all the amazing support you've managed to gather. And it's really nothing short of impressive and amazing. And so, I certainly don't want to miss the opportunity to thank you and everybody who's involved up there.
Well, thanks, John. The way we look at it, it's really the least we can do. I mean, when you ask that question, do they deserve any less? No, they deserve. This is what they deserve. I mean, it's the least we can do for them. And as far as them healing, we actually see that. We're together for only about 4 days, but these are vets who don't know each other that come in from around the country, and now they're talking to each other about their experiences, and a lot of them have similar experiences. And we see them they first get to town on a Thursday afternoon, and you kind of see how they are then, and compare that to Saturday evening, and you just see the difference in people. Yeah. And then if you look at some of those letters that you mentioned that we get from them, maybe we helped prevent something really bad from happening. Maybe if we play a small role in that, that would be great. We had a couple letters where they specifically mentioned that about suicide. And I'm thinking about a time right now where we had one warrior, this was maybe 3 years ago, who was having a really bad time here. And he wanted to quit and go home. It was a Friday morning, and he was in the boat with one of our guides, and our celebrity guy, Joe Booker, was in the boat with him. And luckily, this is the first boat that Joe was in, and Joe helped talk with this fella and convinced him to stay, and he ended up having a really good time. But if that didn't happen, who knows what would have happened with him? And he sent. I'll show you the letter that he sent us. It's where he talks about suicide, and we helped away from there a little bit. He was
Well, I gotta tell you, I give a lot of, I give it a lot of thought, that being, this idea of helping, heal the invisible wounds of war. And, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about it. This is their 17th year, is what I do. And, when I think about that, the idea of the invisible wounds of war, when the foundation was just getting its feet underneath it, I remember hearing from a very important person, a friend of mine who's a combat wounded gentleman who's in a wheelchair that'll never get out of, severe spinal cord injury. And he said, as a result of combat, and he said to me, hey, sir, listen, I don't need any more stitches, okay? And I don't need any more operations, and I don't need any more pills. I got all of that. I'm full up here, okay? What I need, he said, is more of this. And what he was referring to was, the hunting and fishing events that we were doing. And that resonated with me. And then I began to ask why to myself. Why is that? Why is this work? Why is? And I think that there's lots of ways to answer that. But I think fundamentally, when you begin to break it down, and we've got Cornell University following us and has been following us for many years, doing all kinds of survey, collecting all kinds of data, so that we can write these, have something scientific, which we do, okay, that says conclusively, okay, statistically, quantifiably, that what we're doing is making a major difference in their lives. Like, it works, right? But beyond the data and beyond the scientific, talk, I say very fundamentally, what's going on here, and why does it work? And I think, at the end of the day, the answer is somewhere in the mix of, hey, I did something. I put on a uniform. I went somewhere. I did something. I got wounded, and I came back. I had to get discharged because of the nature of my wounds. And now the thing that I loved is gone. That being serving our country and wearing a uniform as a soldier or a Marine, airman, fill in the blank. And I can't do that anymore because of the nature of my wounds. And there's nothing back home for me. As a matter of fact, some of them aren't even certain where their home is. They don't really, identify a geographic location as home, believe it or not. But here, people in communities like yours that they don't know are doing what I said earlier. They're welcoming them. They're opening a pathway. And they're doing this out of the kindness of their heart to express their gratitude for what they did. And that right there, I think fundamentally, that right there is something that gives them, it validates what they did, right? I'm not a psychotherapist, but it validates what they did, mm-hmm. and then it connects them and establishes, connections and creates a lot of really positive memories that supplant those that aren't so positive.
That's what we try to do. That's kind of our mission, is to try to do that as much as we can for the short time that we have them in our community. If we can just do that, give them a good time, no time to think about some of the problems. Talk to other warriors that have been through similar circumstances. I see that helps, and and just give them some great memories to take home. It's a great feeling.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so I had to ask you, when you look back on your event, you shared, one story with us there, where a guy's life was changed, and Joe helped us do that. I'm sure with the fishing guide as well.
And his name escaped me. The guy was Brent Kodrowski. Was his guide.
Okay.
And
excellent.
Joe Bucher, our celebrity guide, spends time in every boat with every warrior. It just so happened that was the first boat he was in. If it wasn't, if it didn't work out, then Joe did a great job dealing with this warrior and his problem. So if the timing was different, who knows? He could have just gone back to shore and gone home, and who knows what would have happened. Yeah. So it just happened that way, and it worked out well based on the letter that he sent us afterwards.
Yeah, so it's very, very powerful. It certainly is. Do you have do you have any other memories or scenarios that have occurred in the 9 years that you've been doing this that stick out in your mind that you'd like to share with folks?
Yeah, I watch I'm out on the water and I'm always watching the warriors working with the guides, and they might have some trouble fishing first with their cat. It's not easy to get the technique down to do that, to musky fish. And the patience of the guides working with them, and to see their excitement, like we mentioned earlier, when they're able to really to cast the rod and reel the right way and to see a fish. And I'm trying to think of a specific.
I tell you, I'll take this.
It's like
I'll take this opportunity.
Before you, one and we all get excited too, because I've been doing this for a long time. My father took me musky fishing when I was really little, and so in Eagle River, and I had my warrior in the boat a couple years ago, and I go now, and I put on a new bait, and I'm like, now watch, I'm trying to be like the official guide. I'm not a very good guide. I just like to fish.
But you actually guide. You actually do the job too, right? You're out there in your boat guiding.
I'm out there with them.
I love that. Yeah, me too.
I watch closely, and I'll show you how to use this bait. And when I'm explaining, here comes this big fish comes up. I'm like, and I immediately become like a 6-year-old. And I yell, I probably swore or something. I don't know what I did.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he grabbed, and then I give the rod and reel to the warrior who brought the fish in, and then I gave him the bait to take home, actually. And oh my God, we had a great time. We just had, even if we didn't catch that fish, the whole thing was hilarious. And it was just, and every one of our guides has experiences like that. I think we have 8 to 10 guides every year. They'll all have memories like that. And for the warriors to take home with them. We had a young lady, a wounded vet. She's from Kentucky or Tennessee. This past year, she's with the person who founded this with me, Bill Jacobs, with him, and her experience didn't catch the fish, but just the experience of seeing them and almost catching them, just to hear her talk about that, she'll remember that the rest of her life. And every one of our guides has stories like that with the warriors. It's what's wonderful.
When I was there, I remember, of course, for those that aren't familiar, in the fall time, musky fishermen have an opportunity to fish with live bait, chub suckers, whatever you want to call them. And I learned, a few years ago, I was like, I remember, going to a couple of musky guides in the summertime. We were up there, and I said, well, why don't we use, suckers, because it's summertime. When I go fishing in the fall, that's what they're hitting on all the time. And, of course, the answer is because they can't keep them alive, because they don't like the warm, they got to have cold water. So, okay, that makes sense to me. But anyway, so we're fishing. I'm fishing with my guide, and he says to me, okay, so, when this rod starts going click, 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 because the drag set real low on the drop line with the sucker on it. He goes, when that line starts going click, click, and it's being pulled out by a muskie, he goes, I'm gonna grab the rod, and he goes, I'm gonna hand it to you, and when I tell you to set the hook, okay, he goes, I want you to try to break the rod. And I go, got it. That's all you got to say to me, man. That's it. And so that happens, in fact. And I'm, I'm not a small guy. I can bring it still. And so the rod starts going click, 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 and he grabs it. He makes, waits a little bit, makes sure that the fish has got it, and then he gently hands me this rod. And for those that don't know, muskie rods are more like pool cues. They really are. They're not like your, standard 7-foot, medium action, spin casting rod. No. These things are heavy duty deals. Like they look more like a pool cue than they do a fishing rod. They're thick and they got a big, tough spine on them. And anyway, so he hands me this St. Croix rod, right, and muskie rod set up just for that. And then he goes, okay, set the hook. And I lean back like coming from East Jesus to try to break this rod. And I put so much horsepower on it, the muskie comes flying, okay, out of the water. Scott, it comes flying I pull it right out of the water. And my guide has got the net in his hand waiting, he's all ready to land this fish. But it comes flying out of the water and he does this dynamic move in the boat with the net and catches it in midair.
Oh my God.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
True story.
No,
True story.
Justin, right?
Yes.
Justin Reynolds, sure. Uh-huh.
Yes, Justin did that. Ask him about it. I was like, and it happened like that. And we both looked at each other like, what just happened? And we realized in that moment that there was this massive dynamic action happening. And I horsed that fish right out of the water. And he caught it in midair, with a dynamic move. And we just both looked at each other.
There's hours of nothing and then 1 minute of just craziness. That's how it.
That's exactly. That's muskie fishing. Yeah, it's so great. Okay, so I want to ask you before we close here. It's been a great interview, and you again, you're just doing amazing things. But you're also behind the scenes. Usually what we find is with hosts like you. You're very, they're all very successful people in their own, way. Really dynamic, got great personalities, and are, solid members of their community. But you're a pilot, okay? You're a private pilot, but how would you describe? You have your pilot's license. I mean, I see you on Facebook, flying a plane, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a piston engine.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
It's a Lycoming 163 horse Lycoming engine. Yes.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's on the pipe. I fly a Piper Warrior, and then that's the Cessna Skyhawk 172. Is what I'm.
That's a cool plane. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Cessna.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a pilot. And you do that, and I love to see those pictures. And you're also, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, but you're a boxing aficionado. I mean, you told me you wrestled, in high school, but and I love boxing too. I mean, I wish there was more of that in the world, but so what's your connection with boxing?
Well, I was always a big fan. Okay, ever since March 8th, 1971, which is when Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali. First there.
Was that the Thrilla in Manila?
No, that was the third fight. This is the first fight at Madison Square Garden, actually.
Is that your favorite fight?
No. My favorite fight is actually an amateur fight between Leon Spinks and a Cuban named Sixto Saraya, where Leon won the gold medal in '76. Go on YouTube.
Was it a great fight?
Go on YouTube.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's the coolest fight I've ever seen. But anyway, so I was a big fan.
Okay.
And then I was on the football team in college. We go to your town of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, in Titan Stadium. Mm-hmm. I break my hand. And I'm like, these guys are so huge. I'm like so little. And I got to do something else. So I joined the boxing team. Because then you're only in there with guys that are your own age, right, or your own size, right?
Right. So the weight category.
I was at UW Stevens Point, joined the boxing team, did well. I'm like, I couldn't see because of my glasses. You had to take my glasses off, and I had terrible vision. But
with boxing, you just have to be close enough,
kind of without hitting the ref, you just kind of try to hit with the vision that you see in front of you, and it was fun. It was a short career, but it's just something that's always interested me. And so since then, I've always followed it. And it's changed a lot. It's not as big a point. It's not big in popular culture like it used to be, now. But the history of it is exciting, and I collect autographs of some old fighters. Like I've got Jack Dempsey and Max Schmeling and Jack Sharkey, a few other old world champions and things, and it's just a lot of fun.
Very cool.
It's a good time. Yeah. And I try to fly every week, not so much down here in Miami because it's a little bit more.
Yeah.
The airports are more intimidating down here than they are up in the Northwoods.
A little busier, a little busier down there in that line. Yeah, so you're kind of a snowbird. You spend 8 months or so up in Eagle River, your home, and then you come down here, to Miami land, if you will, for a few months.
Yeah, try to spend 3 or 4 months down here, and it's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to thank you for all that you do. It's been a pleasure, having you on the program today. I'll give you another, whack at the piñata here, because I don't like having any, in the military used to say saved rounds, don't save any rounds, man. But do you have anything that you'd like to chat about or discuss or say to anybody before we part?
It's just an honor to be part of this organization. And for those that aren't familiar with this organization, take a look at them and take a close look at what they do. Everything they do is all about the warriors. It's not about themselves. We're just honored that we're able to just give these men and women a few days of having a good time, and to thank the guides, the volunteers, and the sponsors that make everything possible. And the fact that we never had, like I said, the fact that we never had to sell them on anything. We never had to give anybody the hard sell or the sales pitch. They just came forward just to thank everybody that did all that. And so thanks for letting us be a part of this. We love it.
Well, thank you. I mean, if it weren't for folks like you and your community that stepped up to the plate, we would certainly not be where we are. And so hats off to you again. Your leadership is obviously a critical piece to this thing. You're a great leader. I know you probably don't think about it like that, but I'm most certain that that's the case. And you guys have really helped the foundation a lot, touched a lot of lives, and the resource that you guys have are producing is really changing and in some cases saving lives. And what I'll say in parting real quick, I meant to say earlier, but not to end on a sad note, but going back to the suicide bit. Part of this is to bring awareness to people too, the general public. And that's why this topic keeps, popping up. But, because there are things you can do to help. You can get involved, you can go to our website, at the end of the show here, you'll be presented an opportunity to, figure out how to, options for getting a hold of us and getting involved. But, the thing of it is that the average age, of the veteran that's taken his life, I would have guessed, if you had asked me, I would have said, mid-30s, I would have guessed that. Right. But the statistics, according to the Veterans Administration, put that age closer to 50. And I go, wow. I start scratching my head and I'm like, geez, these guys have saw their first combat when they were in their early 20s. Sure. 30 years later, they're taking their life.
It's amazing.
Isn't it? Now, here's the newsflash. No. Right. I know. Listen, here's the thing, Scott. Check this out. And so I asked my staff, because we have some data. We have the data. We have the database. They tell us how old they are when they were born. I won't share it with anybody, but we use it for things like, okay, hey, what's the average age of the average veteran in our population? And we have a database. The government didn't give us this. It took us 17 years to accumulate the data that we have, and we don't ask for much from them. But anyway, the average age of the veteran in our population, the Purple Heart community that has volunteered to be part of what we're doing, is 38.
Mm-hmm.
And so what does that tell you? That tells you, because we've had, I think there's one documented record in our population in 17 years of a veteran taking his life. Now, when you compare that to the national average, you go, wow, there's something going on there. Mm-hmm. You've only lost one veteran, and yet we're losing, 20 a day to suicide. What's going on there? That's what, Cornell University and the study is going to help us, understand, but better understand. But what that tells me is that the bow wave, is coming.
Mm-hmm.
If the average age is 38, of our veteran population right now that we're serving, and the average age of the veteran taking his life is 50, that means in 10 years plus or minus, that's why what we're doing now is so important.
It can make a big difference.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So anyway, keep that in mind as we progress forward. Listen, Scott, thank you very, very much for your time today and all that you've done.
Happy to do it. Thanks for letting us be a part of it.
Yeah, phenomenal. And when you get back up there to the great Northwoods, please, at every opportunity you get to run into one of our sponsors, one of your supporters, please look them in the eye, shake their hand for me, and say, genuinely thank you, because I'm coming back to Eagle River because we've got a whole bunch of amazing recognition awards that you and your community have earned, and so I'm coming back.
Good. We open
to recognize
September 21st is when this year's event takes place. So
awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much. You enjoy the rest of your week. We appreciate your time, and we're a wrap here on Honor Connect Heal.
Thanks, John. Have a great day.
To learn more about the mission of the Wounded Warriors in Action Foundation and how you can get involved, please visit our website at WWIAF.org or follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Thank you for listening to the WWIA Podcast and for helping us honor, connect, and heal our combat wounded Purple Heart heroes through the power of the great outdoors.
If you like what you're listening to here and would like to join our team in our mission to bring healing power and recovery to America's Purple Heart heroes, please become part of our Sponsor a Hero team by clicking on the link in the podcast notes or by going to WWIAF.org/sponsor. That's WWIAF.org/sponsor. Our heroes need you now more than ever. Thank you.